Welcome back, YouTubers, to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're following me right now and you're new to my channel, I welcome you all with open arms. I'm Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness, sharing anything that's health related versus also just doing some messages of hope and inspiration to uplift you all during your downtime, regardless what it may be. If you're following me right now, as you're aware or not, basically I'm going to be taking a quick break on the series of my Beauty from Ashes video series of these, everyday advice or just messages of hope for you all that are personally struggling, regardless what the everyday topics are, just to give you a lowdown so that hopefully I'll be back on deck in a minute for that. But in the meantime, I'm just going to be wanting to just quickly address to you all some more of the mental illness bits and pieces before I do some more research on the other bits, and I want to share hopefully as of next year or so based on the basic human anatomy disorders, body disorders and everything else, so that we can actually learn from each other. So hopefully we have learned something along the way about each other, regardless what it may be, about how we go about things, and just to bear in mind before I continue this last part of what I'm doing for the 4-part series of how to deal with panic attacks while you're in school, especially targeting for the teens here, because obviously teens will struggle probably more of it because of the stresses that builds up to the exams or whatever it may be. That I'm no medical doctor, just to put it out there. I'm just a normal everyday Joe vlogs, doing my videos, sharing my life stories, experiences with my everyday conditions, with tips and advice and maybe some coping strategies through it. Hopefully within this that you will know the warning signs and symptoms regardless of what I share, to spread this awareness around. So if you see anything that does ring alarm bells to you of the warning signs and symptoms of what I have shared earlier, or leading up to this point, seek professional help and advice for yourself or for your loved one, regardless what it may be. So enough for the do, guys. Basically, just to be in mind with this, how to deal with panic attacks while in school. Basically, as I said, it's broken down to 4 parts, and this is the last part, which is managing panic attacks, while you're away from college. And just to bear in mind, if you want some more of these, kind of how-tos and whatever else of what I can recall how to go about it, let me know in the description below, because it'd be nice to have some feedback here and there about some of the videos that I've been doing so far. Even though I am actually kind of humbled and blessed and all in all with some of you anyway that has been supporting me, regardless of you guys knowing that some days can be a struggle than others for me, but I still go about my business and do what I can to provide the information for you guys of what I feel in my heart, regardless what I go through in my life. So I just think some of you who has been patient and understanding enough to give me that form of support, and hopefully we can continue to endeavour together what this channel will hold in the future. I don't know what will hold, but we'll just have to wait and see in the near future. As I said, I'm hoping that maybe if my book goes well, if you've been following me on that, I'm hoping maybe to do a sequel. I'm not sure as of yet if I should or not, but I'll think it through. The parts were missing in my book, and I feel that that should be done and dealt with maybe one way or another sooner or later as well. So some of the videos that you may see is in the book already, but it should be of value and use to you anyway. So enough for the do. Let's continue this before time runs out. Is part 4, managing panic attacks while you're away at college, of how to deal with them. Number 1, take advantage of every resource that you have in your university, college, or wherever it may be. Most universities or colleges will offer free counselling services to students, okay, as well as basic medical services. You may even be able to find a support group for students with panic disorders or any other mental illnesses that many students suffer from. Find out what resources are readily available that your university has to offer that may provide you with some support while you're away from home. However, the advice here is also, if you know that you can find a counsellor on the campus at a uni or wherever it may be, working with that counsellor can help you develop better ways to manage your anxiety and getting through your panic attacks that goes through it. Again, I can't stress it enough. Basically, when it comes down to all this, though, however, we need to question to why it's happening, the causes, the triggers, the classic signs and symptoms, how it's happening, why it's happening, where it's happening, and everything else, to see if we can eliminate more than to alleviate the problem. Make an appointment with your university's counselling centre as soon as possible, however, so that you can best fit to know how they work for you. Number 2, talk to your professors if you're at a uni. Okay, unlike high school, however, and college, it isn't necessarily usually to ask to leave the class to go to the bathroom, okay, or do something else. Because as we know, sometimes as in unis, politics or what have you, sometimes, well, actually it's unis, I think, yet you don't always raise your hand and ask to be excused. You should be able to quietly dismiss yourself and just let the teacher know that you need to go to toilet or whatever it may be. However, you may miss important points by leaving the class to deal with the panic attack, or your professor may find it disruptive if you get up in the middle of a lecture and hurries to the door. That is why it is important to tell your professors about your condition and work out a plan to excuse yourself from the classroom if needed, and as quietly and discreetly as possible when it does exist. So as I said before earlier in this one, is, make sure you have a plan in place, so that you know when it's likely to attack, these anxiety attacks, whatever it may be, so that your teacher and yourself can work out something for the better good. So the tips and advice is, for example, you might meet with your professor after the class and say something like, "Sir, I have a panic disorder, so sometimes I may need to leave the class suddenly to calm myself down. I wanted to talk to you about ways that I can minimize any disruptions if this does happen during one of our class sessions together in the lecture. What would you like to suggest, or what do you suggest?" Number 2, make sure that you consider the class size and available exits. For example, your professor might suggest that you may sit next to the door in a smaller class, or at the back of the lecture hall in a larger class. Number 3, surround yourself with positive people. This is no brainer, obviously. If you find that certain classmates or friends intensify your anxiety, then try not to spend too much time with them. Instead, try to spend time with people who have the calming presence on them. For example, tips and advice here is, for example, people have bad study habits, e.g. staying up all night before an exam, writing papers the day they are due, etc., are likely to be anxious and panicky themselves. You should also avoid people who have poor stress management skills and uses drugs, alcohol, and other means to deal with stress. Number 3, or 2, try to spend more time with people who have good study habits, however, and practice healthy stress management techniques. For example, gravitate towards people who plan ahead for assignments, ask questions in class, and manages stress in healthy ways, such as exercising or meditating, be it yoga or whatever it may be. Number 3, last but not least, consider joining a club to meet people who share the same interests as you and passions. A club can be a great way to build your social connections and enjoy yourself outside of the classroom. That may help to reduce your anxiety. Number 4, getting organised. To reduce anxiety, take some extra time to get organised and plan ahead for your stressful situations. Getting your books, notes, laptop, and other class materials ready ahead of time may help you to feel less anxious and reduce the chances of a panic attack. So, advice here for you all as well on this topic is, number 1, keep track of the important due dates and other deadlines in a planner, diary, whatever it may be. For example, as soon as you find out the paper is due for a class, write it down in your planner along with special details about the assignment that you need to do to remember what's of you that is needed in that part of that task. Also, maybe when it comes down to it, in some lectures, I know that they may give you an overview of what is needed and all that as well, to maybe help reduce you to do some research. Some may not. It depends on how the teachers are. But yeah, because I remember back in my time in Polytech, high school especially, they helped make life easier for me by just having course outlines, what is expected of me in each class, and what I needed to do at the end of the day. So it's like a little planner versus whatever else it may be. So another one here is, for example, number 2 is, if you have an exam coming up, then take about 10 minutes of the night before the test to put everything you will need into your backpack. Then write the time and place of the exam in your planner, diary, wherever, as a general reminder for you, excuse me. Number 5, take detailed notes during lectures. Taking notes can help you to stay focused in what your professor is saying and reduces that chance of anxiety. That will help you also prevent you start dwelling on the thoughts that may lead you to these attacks. Make sure that you always have a pen and paper in front of you when you attend your classes. Write down as much information as you can during class. Or some other people have different ways of learning. Some may, record their classroom settings. Some may just see if they are allowed to use their, I don't know, webcam or some sort of equipment to record the lecture if need be, if they're, wanting it as a video. So the note here is, if you're having a hard time figuring out what kind of notes to write, then drawing in your notebook during the lecture may also help you to stay focused on something other than agent's thoughts. Number 6, as I said before, is taking study breaks. This is really important to avoid pulling all-nighters, however, and cramming up for exams, because this can increase your anxiety levels for some. Instead, try to study a little bit every day and take a break, even if you've been studying for a while. When you are studying, give yourself a short 10 to 15 minute break once every 2 hours if need be. During your break, you can either 1. Call a friend or family member, 2. Go outside for a quick walk, 3. Eat a snack, 4. Check your social media accounts, 5. Watch some videos on the internet, 6. Do some gaming or whatever else, but there's sure to have a timer maybe beside you after your 10-15 minute break, so that you can get back into what was at hand, or just to do another activity that will be of value and use to you. Anyway, that is the full part series of how to deal with panic attacks while you're in school. Give me a like for thumbs up for support. Comment below if I've missed out anything that will be of value and use to you guys. Feel free to comment below maybe some tips and tricks how you go about certain things so that we can learn from each other. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Feel free to also, follow me on my social media sites, AspieAnswersAll on either Twitter or Facebook. Feel free to also just share these videos around to family and friends, regardless what it may be that you feel close to your heart to share. So enough with it, guys. Thanks for support, thanks for watching. Do what you love, what you do. Until next time, Aspie signing out. I'll see you all again.